Hi, welcome to Real People. My guest tonight is the most fabulous metaphysical and spiritual coach I know. Mr. David Bear is with us tonight.
What a gift, what an honor, what a pleasure. And thank you, everybody, for attending and being part of this grand experiment in growing. And you bring so much to the table. I watched you tonight with the two others, and what a gift you are. What a gift she is. So thank you.
Well,
And thank you, everybody, for honoring us and letting us honor you by being here and sharing your vitally important and magnificent energy as we all move together, collectively, to raise the consciousness of the light on this planet, especially now. And you're welcomed to participate in even more wonderful ways because you're all being led to do it. And we get to do this together now.
Yeah. Well, that leads me to talk about our topic tonight. And with all of the confusion in the world right now, with the energy changing and shifting and growing out of the 3D reality that we've been in for so long, I feel the need that people need to understand discernment, how to identify what's real and what's not, what's true and what's not. And I thought that would be a good place for us to go tonight and share some of that energy with people and maybe some of that knowledge so people can move about in their daily life having a clearer identification of what to look for. You know, what signals, what clues, how do you know? What do you know? That small voice inside you, do you trust it? Well, that's where I say you should, because that's the number one for me. What say you?
I'd like to hear more about what you just said because I think you're onto something very deep there. Go ahead and continue.
Well, it's never done me wrong. So whenever my gut tells me something, and usually when I'm asking, is this right or not? The first thing that comes to my head is the correct path. Always. If I get in my head and out of my heart, which the head will always send you in the wrong direction because you overthink things. You start to compare and what if, and that, for me, my intuition will always lead me in the right direction. Sometimes it pauses for a while.
Talk about that. When does it pause and why does it pause?
Distractions.
Okay, and what are they? And that's part of the discernment, isn't it?
That's the chaos.
Yes.
It's the chaos that is kind of thrust upon us at the moment. So we have to know when to come back, when to get out of the chaos and back into the heart.
And how do you do that, practically?
I just know that I have to. I mean, there's things that I just become aware again, you know. I don't know how to put that into a way that people will understand, but I just know. I have the gift of the knowing, so I just know when it's time to go out, take the shoes off, stand in the yard, let all my cells get restructured from that beautiful energy coming up from Gaia. And I've been doing that more and more recently, and I have to fight off a bunch of bugs when I do it. But it's like, okay, am I ready to go yet? But it's so well worth it. You have to go out and get back and right with nature, and that will always bring me right back to where I need to be.
Brilliant and absolutely, totally 100%, in my opinion, how I relate to nature. Absolutely a perfect way to do it in grounding. Before I came here today, I went outside, and I live in the country, have magnificent old growth oak trees and pine trees, and the summer day today is so absolutely perfect. One of the most splendid summer day moments, and we'll remember this for a long time. So I went out and I wanted to talk to I call them my wizard tree friends, and see what was in nature today to connect with, to bring to me, so that I would bring this to this experience and be able to share all of that energetically, which I absorbed while I was out there observing. So in our perennial garden, 2 new visitors today. One brilliant yellow lily, a color that was so magnificent. I mean, it's like the most beautiful sunny yellow color, like a vibrant with a lemon, but it had a vitality and a life that just said, I'm here. I'm here to show you how beautiful I am, when it said I am, with my appreciation for just showing up on the planet for a brief period of time. And in that period of time, you came out to witness me. Thank you. And I nodded, and I nodded, and I said, thank you, Ambassador from the color world of floral exquisiteness. Your gift is so dynamic and so precious that not only in your silence do I hear your echo so deeply and so profoundly, but I am moved. I am moved by what you have done in your song to life and how I can be here witnessing and appreciating, and I get to take you, your presence, your delicate beauty that vibrates to me on such a soul level that I can now share that gift with others. And at the same time, I saw a couple of tiny little flocks. Flocks are wonderful. And by the way, hummingbirds and butterflies and bees love flocks. And they love the lilies. So it's such an amazing thing when we are able to, like you say, touch in with Gaia. We can give to Gaia, not only consciously and deliberately because we give ourselves permission when we do to go out. Sometimes it's just to bathe in the sunlight, the dew light, and the moonlight of Gaia and let the electromagnetic field be absorbed through our feet, which are understanding. The feet are representative of understanding. So we absorb that. But at the same time, as we absorb, the mother, Gaia, also is very open to receiving and does, because she is so gracious that our presence, our divinity, is walking on her. So there's that sharing, that gift that not only allows for us to feel the vibrancy and the healing nature of what she gives us, but what we can give back to her. So I tell people, if you're open to wanting to share that, you just have the intention to send your love and magnify it. And you get to magnify it because you're a divine creator. 100,000, 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000 times you raise that light in your heart consciousness. You elevate that within you, and you say, Gaia, for my intention to give you back, and thank you for giving me the permission and the ability to share my love, my light, and our light collectively, because now I'm connecting to everybody on the planet that wants to give love and light back to Gaia in her time of need. Because she's going through a lot of transitions right now. The whole elevation cycling that's going on in our ascension is that she is moving into a new space. That fifth dimensional space, which is already being absorbed through waves of light that are coming into the planet. And so she also is wanting us to elevate with her. So the invitation has gone out, and a lot of people I'm hearing now are going out and doing the grounding and doing the connecting. And I saw a beautiful little post on Facebook the other day, and it was a beautiful tree that said, just listen to us, we can communicate with you. And I thought, wow, that's neat. It's being said now by many people, many different ways. Connect with the mother. Connect with God, connect with Gaia, connect with the river of life that is at your doorstep, in your backyard. I don't care if it's a dandelion, a lily, a flower, a tree leaf, a blade of grass. Stop to witness the magnificence of, we get to do it today because summer's a very incredible treasure here in Minnesota. You know, and I like to absorb, and I'm sure you all do, as much as you can on these spectacular days that give us not only ancestral memories, but memories that will allow us to heal in any forthcoming environment. And now that gets back to the word one, distraction, and discernment. So when these painful or difficult or saber-rattling events, whether it's saber-rattling of war or more genocide or the problems that people have to deal with when they plug into it and hear it, it's not about putting your head in the sand like an ostrich, but it's also going back to discernment. Do I want to allow my energy signature, which I treasure, my beingness, do I want to sign off or signature off on something that is denser than I want to contribute? After all, if I'm a divine being, I'm responsible for where I shift and put that energy. So I say to people, okay, take the environment of that difficult situation that's approaching you and see it not as an obstacle. It is, That's the invitation, but it's also an opportunity in disguise. So that's inviting us to say, how do you want to recreate something different that can magnify and manifold this difficulty that can lead you down a rabbit hole, because darkness and density and fear and doubt will. Doubt of losing, like fear of not having enough money, you're going to lose your home, you're going to be homeless, I'm going to lose my husband or my wife, whatever it is, whatever fears you have, you relook at it, because the creativity and the divinity within us in each moment, and that's where discernment comes in, to take a look at it. Can I shift this? Can I make this experience more relevant and more prevalent in a positive dynamic, so that I can breathe my signature essence into it that gives life and light for the elevation of the planet, rather than me signing off on something else that takes me down a rabbit hole where so many other people are going that doesn't serve anybody.
No, it certainly doesn't. And I've definitely been using a lot of discernment about what I choose to read and look at and give my energy to, because I will physically say to myself out loud, not today. I'm not giving any energy to this, and there's certain topics I just won't even touch on anymore.
So I like that. So talk more about that. That's a practical, I think it's a how-to. It's like a tool. And everybody today wants tools, not only that are effective, efficient, but fast.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So by paying attention to what you don't want in your life, that's a good start, isn't it?
Yeah,
so where do you go
it
beyond
certainly
that?
is. Well, I think by just not allowing it in my vibrational field or energy, or giving it any power.
How do you do that? Do you bubble up? Would you use a protection device? Do you use energy as a protection, or you just have the will to say no and you block it out?
I have the will. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of walk with the bubble, so.
And how do you make your bubble?
It's just there. I sometimes I will change what it is. Like if I feel like I really need protection, it's a wall of fire. You know, I put up a wall of fire. Like, yeah, that ain't touching me. But for a lot of things, I just say I'm not allowing that to interfere and affect me. Just not. It's just kind of like the intuition. It's like you just say it, just verbalize it. Just no. It cannot affect me, because I choose for it not to.
I love that.
It's a power.
I choose not to, and it is part of your own, it's your superpower. It's everybody's superpower. But we have to invest in it by giving it permission to have access to playing itself out in our reality at the moment. And it's always in the moment, because we only have the now. It's not what happened 10 minutes ago, or what we confabulate, you know, or imagine, because there's so much stress, like what tomorrow's going to bring. It's not real. Only in your imagination, and by moving in a trajectory to go somewhere in the future or somewhere in the past to revisit a historical event and not pay attention to what's coming down the road right now is a distraction. It's another rabbit hole, and it takes us out of the holy, sacred presence of the eternal now. So when you say, I just choose and I declare it's not going to come within my space, that's a powerful declaration. So everybody, we all have that power to do it. I asked about bubble. Everybody has an auric bubble. You know, when you hear about proxemics, and they say, oh, you're too close to my bubble, because people feel the immersion in. There's a lot of truth in that. So just with respect, we give people, we can check out and look at where their bubble is. Some people bubble are very close to them. Some are very, like what I heard Carl say, like that blemish thing. It can be massive. And the bubble can be massive. Whatever you need in terms of that, and I heard you said something that I have not heard before about the firewall. Well, that's powerful, because fire is a transformative thing. So we can make the bubble whatever we want. We can make it translucent, we can make it energetically. I like a bubble that's kind of seamless and glowing, but allows nothing less than perfection. I use the word harmonic. Nothing less than harmony is allowed to come into this sphere, my sphere, of influence, unless I, of course, give it permission for a lesson, or it happens to be there and I know I need to deal with it, or you need to deal with it. But if you give it permission, then you give it also your boundaries. I love what you said. I don't allow anything that isn't right or harmonic, because I don't want to be led to a denser level. I want to stay at a higher frequency of harmony, because I know, like a friend of mine who does, Wendy Mahoney, who does Raise the Vibe, which raising the vibration, we can do that on a daily basis. We can do it on a moment-to-moment basis. And when we have difficulty coming our way, we can say, no, I'm going to create something different, because I have the tools, I have the consciousness, I have the heart, I have the intuition. So I'm going to reimagine this challenge and make it into something that has an intention that can make a difference, not only for my immediacy in this world, to help me out get through this labyrinth of whatever chaos I've allowed in my life, right?
Yeah.
But also,
if it's there, you've let it in.
that's right. And what that also allows other people to be able to, when we raise our frequency, it is invariable. And I heard Carl say that. And I understand that. When you raise the frequency of an ancestral situation, you're raising it out of the debilitation of that anchor, that historical anchor that is like a Groundhog Day repeat organism.
Yeah, I like
you
that.
know, it keeps coming. It keeps coming. And so one generation passes the dark, heavy, dense baton to the next one. So when, and Carl does this beautifully, when you catch that and you see that and you go, I would like to offer up, we would like to offer up for all the ancestors who couldn't quite make it, but they spent their whole life, think about it, from birth to death, their kids, their wives, their husbands, their friends, their relatives, thousands of people in the family that came with their baton to give you the passing of the baton that says you're in the most relevant time in history for millennium, which is ascension time.
Yeah.
And they all participated. So if there's a little cog in the system, by us illuminating and consciously putting the light on that blam or that whatever nefarious thing that clings and says, I'm going to ride along with you because you look like a nice golden surfboard. You go, no, you're not going to ride on my surfboard because it doesn't fit with the equation and it wants to be released back into the native nothingness from which it came, which is really about the healing process.
Right.
To give the love, which is our divine ability with all of us, is to recognize the Christ within, the Jesus, it's us internally, and Jesus said, all these things I have done, you can do and more. So let's do more.
Yeah.
Let's all do more. Let's all recognize that that gift that he gave us in verbiage is not, it's not fiction. It's not, it's real. It's something that we can all engage with and move to a higher level. So
Let's
we're
call
all
it
invited.
tangible.
Yes.
Tangible.
We're all invited to become the Christ right now. And so by looking with discernment, with a Christ consciousness, would I allow this fear that war is going to happen in 2 weeks into my life? Number one, no. No. And who said that? And why do I want to sign off and believe that? Because it's not of my belief system.
Yeah.
Anything can transform and change. When you get the 100th monkey, when you get enough people raising the light of the consciousness, and that's why one of the things that I talk about all the time is let's raise our light in ourselves first.
Right.
And we do that by stopping any new negative entrances that come into our life by saying, there's a better way. And I have the creative ability to look at it in a way that allows itself to reinvent itself.
Exactly.
And every time we do that, life changes.
And we raise the consciousness collectively.
It's where
Because
we're all
we are
going.
all one. We're all, connected. So
Talk about that. How do you see us all connected?
I'm supposed to be the host here.
I love your ideas, and you're brilliant. And I think I want to hear more of what you have to say.
We are just all connected. We all, I just saw this thing recently where they were talking about not just Carl, but DNA. When you think about it, it's like, well, all these people are related. All these people are related. And it's like people you wouldn't expect to have any type of lineage at all with each other. But when you get back down to the heart of it all, we are all related because we all come from the same creator.
See, I love that.
Yeah. I don't know bloodlines, how the bloodlines all work with that, but I think it's just Some things you just have to accept with faith. We all, I don't know. What do you think? Yeah, you speak so eloquently, I feel like a novice when I hear you speak.
I remember, this is a funny story, but I grew up Catholic, so I remember being in a catechism class one day. And
Me
I was
too.
like, yeah, I was like 12 years old, and the Monsignor, I said, I have an idea and a question that I want to ask you. And I said, it's been bothering me because I don't understand. Well, I'm a kid. And he said, well, what is it? I said, if heaven is a place we all want to get, why was there a war in heaven? He looked at me and he's like, you got to have faith. You got to trust. That's a mystery. We don't know about that. You just got to trust. I thought, that's interesting. So I wanted to learn more. I wanted to know more. And I wanted to be a part of something different than that typical response. And so there's more to it. And how do we find, and now we're at that place where people are waking up by the gazillions to their divinity, to their divine consciousness. It's happening at a really amazing pace. I mean, I think probably millions of people a day. So there is this movement and there's this evolution. The one, the many, the one. You and I versus the you and I verse, right? That verse is a chapter of consciousness that is coded into the cellular memory of all of us. And we're not going away to find it. It's not at the end of a journey that this ascension is taking place. It's going inward, inside to our consciousness, to that bubble that awaits us to enter into our heart's chamber, which is where the divine in us not only waits and welcomes us, but recognizes that when we recognize it, that's when the fire of consciousness really begins to emote, and we get to give at a much higher threshold. High vibration versus low vibration. High vibration, love, joy, passion, compassion, tolerance, forgiveness, understanding, on and on. Dense energy, fear, doubt, loneliness, I can't, I won't, it's too hard,
It'll never stop
futile. And those are yesterday, thoughts. They still exist for those that anchor into it, but really what's happening, the 3D is, in fact, a friend of mine said today, and I hear this, is that we're already in the fifth dimension. We're already in that accelerated because mom's going there, Mother Earth. So we're all part of it. Every living thing is a part of it. But some people still are in that old rut and they're tied around the umbilical cord of old world 3D thinking. But it's vanishing because it's already like a dominoes going back into the neutrality. I call it the native nothingness from which it came. And Einstein said that. The energy is neither created nor destroyed, right?
That's right.
So energy, if it's locked into a signature sign that's heavy and dense, it is just as easy to shift and transform that by focusing the intention of your light and love, breathing in love, exhaling light back into that experience, and immediately it becomes more buoyant. You feel this light-heartedness, this lightness of being. And the more we give ourselves and intention to that lightness of being, the more the ballast begins to expand.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think the paradigm shift is almost complete now. So we've gone over the top. We're on our way to completeness with this shift. And I think everybody's feeling it, which is why everybody feels confused and they don't know. I don't know if you feel this, but I feel like there's a lot of stuck people around me still. And I know people are changing in like rapid form right now. They're starting to get it. They're starting to get it. They're starting to get it. And if there was a way to like inject it, like what we're trying to do with this show, is inject that energy through the media to people to just help push it right up into them.
Okay, I love what you just said. So there's an antidote, right?
Yeah.
There's a methodology here.
Yeah.
So how do we? I asked myself that question. So Spirit, what do you say about that? How do we help others? I believe that we've been imbued, endowed with this divine ability as Carl so beautifully said, to be able to heal long distance. Everybody's a healer. What is healing? Healing is being able to get to that divine heart space within you, within ourselves, and allow it to resonate and radiate to the point where it becomes so obvious that everybody around us begins to feel the shimmering of that light. So here's the next step. How do we then take that and do an immediate transformation or a sending out of a loving intention to another human being? I say find one person a day. Could be a stranger, could be random, could be going down the street, you see somebody, that's begging for money, and maybe they're really looking for you just to go up and smile at them and say whatever you need to say. But make an intention to send that loving energy you've now discovered, along with the millions of others, because it's raising. Take it and focus that laser light on one person and give them not only your recognition of that light, but collectively gather it from everyone else, because we're all saying we can do this collectively. So you have our permission. Anybody who's on the path, boots on the ground, anybody who's a light worker, anybody who's a Galactic Federation soul, anybody that wants to be part of this healing process has already committed that we're part of this collective, so we're going to do it together. So nobody that's receiving our individual laser light of love is alone. They're getting everybody's.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen exponentially.
They have to let it in, though.
They have to. So what do they do to let it in? How do they let it in? I heard you say that they're still a little resistant and blocked.
Well, hopefully they can watch this show and understand that if you're resistant to the light, you're going to be more like a mirror and bounce it off.
Yes.
So let's put down. I mean, obviously we talk about protecting ourselves with our shields and our bubbles, but sometimes you have to allow, like you said, to open up that bubble to the right vibrations and the light. And I honestly try every day with intention to make somebody smile or give somebody a compliment or touch somebody with a loving hand and a healing hand that they don't even know I'm doing, and sending that right up through them. And sometimes you can just see the transformation. It's like almost like they get fresh new blood and smiles come where frowns were, or worry lines go away. And you just see this, and it's like, oh my God, I facilitated that.
You did.
Let's make more.
Yes. And to me, that's the life of Christ. That's what Jesus, I believe, intended for all of us to do, to follow the Christed way, which is, we're really only here for love. It's all there is.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that really matters. All of the extraneous stuff and all the things that keep us busy and the daily do and the chop wood, carry water, do the dishes, do your laundry, all of that stuff is part of the lesson equation. But our opportunities come abundantly every day, as you so eloquently just explained, how we can actually affect a change in another person. The caveat, just one little caveat, is have no expectation about that. Anybody. Just give it for the sake of your loving giving it. Because
I know what you mean by that. Yeah. And that's all it ever is.
And if it doesn't go into them, somebody else is going to get it.
Yeah, it might bounce off them and hit the guy next to them.
That needs it.
Yeah.
So when people are ready, we cannot change anybody. We cannot hope to orchestrate any change. We can only hope to give them love and more love and more love and more love until whatever happens, that it no longer, the signatures don't match, and people go their own way and do their own thing. But together right now, we have this opportunity to serve the many, and all those people that are still on the teeter-totter fence, not quite sure where they're going, and they're still drenched in this fear modality. Again, the more people that bring love to the equation, and they see by example. We're all here, and why is one person animated and full of joy and full of love, and everything else in the world is happening to them? Why do they perceive it that way, and those in that equation don't? Because it's all about timing. and lessons. And when people are ready, when they're finally at the point where they can say, I see everybody else around me really loving their life again and helping other people, I want to be part of that team. That's when the opportunity to be elevated happens. So no expectation, but a lot of hope and intention.
Yes.
Rather than expectation. I like that word.
Intention.
Intention. The tension within is released when we have the intention to give something that resolves an equation that is unsettled in another human being.
Yeah.
And to have that kind of voice of integrity and of service, because I contend that everybody in their life, no matter what they're doing, the elevation in the equations that come through life's experiences, I think Joseph Campbell called it, what did he call it? Not the black night of the soul, but the evolution of...
Evolution.
Yeah, we have different segments that we occupy in our life. They're all learning experiences. Everybody will take their cue when they're most able to access it, and that's when blossoming takes place.
That's
but we're
beautiful.
all here. Yeah, we're all here for the same reason.
Guess what time it is?
Love time.
Yeah. The time is now. As you love to say. It's out of time for this particular segment, but let's keep this beautiful stuff rolling because you bring so much beauty, so much love, so much light to this set, and I am humbled by your loving kindness and energy and all your grace. It's beautiful.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for loving yourselves more. Love yourselves, embrace yourself. No matter what's happened, give yourself permission to say, all of that got you here to chisel you into the magnificent sculptured human being that you are was all with the intention to grow you. Now,
I want you to say that right to the camera, please.
Settle underneath and allow the trust that your wings have the currency to allow you to soar. It's your time. It's our time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, honey. Thank you for being here. And I'm just going to say, thank you for keeping it real. Stay tuned. We got more of this good stuff coming. Bye now.